G'day Ian. I just thought I'd do a short video instead of writing some sort of great long piece on the forum, and I'll just give you an idea of what I'm actually doing now, the method I'm using to go ahead with this Brian Kirby uncoupling system. Now this is the typical sort of coupling that I've removed. This has actually come off an old Lima wagon of some description, and this hook here is actually a metal one that I mentioned in the post, and this is magnetic. Well, it's attracted to magnets, I should say. Now that will be replaced with something like this. This is a small Bachmann tension lock coupling, and the actual hook and this bar here that hangs down, this whole piece, this metal piece here, is all brass. And if you scrape some of the paint off the back of it, which I do to add a staple to, you'll see that it comes up nice and shiny. Like it is brass and it can be soldered. So that's the sort of thing I'm doing. It's a gradual process, and getting rid of that and going over to this. Now, when I first started adding staples to my coupling hooks, this was the size I was using. I'm not exactly sure what the number is for it, but it was something that I just had available in the workshop, and I started using these. And then for some reason I thought, well, this is the one that's actually used in the bending jig. So this size staple had to be modified considerably to make it work, as well as this one, which is considerably smaller. And this is I'll just see if I can put it in here. It's a number 10 size. Whether that makes any sense to you overseas, I don't know. But it's a number 10, and it's one of the smaller ones you'll get. So I found by using this one, I don't need to use a bending jig. And it's also a bit thinner and everything, and visually it looks a lot better once it's painted up and everything. Once it's added to the coupling, it looks really good. So with this one, instead of going through the process of the bending jig and bending 45s and all that sort of thing, one side of it, say this side, remains at a right angle, and once it's fitted to the coupling hook, this other side is just simply bent at about 45 degrees. And then of course you do adjustments once you've got it on the track, and once you're testing it you might have to bend it a little bit here, a little bit there, but that's it. And it makes the whole process much simpler. Now, here's the loco with one of the staples fitted to the coupling hook, and I really haven't done much with this system apart from just proving that it works. And so you can see that the staple is off at a slight, it's not a right angle to the drop down hook there, but it's just been bent to suit the loco, and just to make sure it works. So you can see when it's in the, if I can do it with this doobie here, when the coupling is up, the tail end of the staple there is about roughly parallel with the track. So and it sits just above rail height. I'll show you on the rail in a minute. Now, the first system I used was super gluing these magnets to the track. These are little neodymium magnets, and I have them offset. So this is the uncoupling area here between these 6 magnets. I've found 3 either side it works for me. I'll give you the size of these magnets. I'll just check that, and I'll get back to you in a second. Right, sorry about that. These are 3mm diameter, and they're 2mm thick, or 2mm high. So in theory they can sit down in between the sleepers and come up to about sleeper height if you were just gluing them down. Now I've had a couple of occasions where they've come astray after being super glued on, and also when you are trying to glue them on, they are attracted to their neighbour. So it makes it a little bit tricky when you're gluing them on to do it that way. So I've come up with a different method, and I'll show you what that is. Right, the other method I'm using is just a flathead nail, which is about 3mm across, and I punched that down into the baseboard below sleeper level, down to the top of the baseboard. And what I'll do is just bring the magnets along and stick them on top of these. Now, you don't have to punch that down to baseboard level. You can bring it up to sleeper height if you wish, but it's a much simpler system for putting the magnets on, and I'll show you that in a sec. Right, I'll just bring a magnet over and put it on the nail there. Bang, done. Now, I'll bring another one over, and I'll just hold the first one steady and bring the other one over. There you go, that's it. Now, you couldn't get any simpler than that, and they don't move once they're in place there. You can even do sort of fine adjustments for the positioning of them, and you can bring a loco or a wagon over that, and that will work fine. Now, the loco I showed you before, I'll just push that up to the magnet, and you can see that's the result. Once you go past the point there, it drops down again. Simple. Now, you could get a bit more of a positive movement if those magnets were up sitting at the height of the sleepers. In other words, the closer they are, the better they're going to work. So that becomes an aesthetic thing. It's up to you where you place them. I'm a bit of a stickler for things working, so I find that if they were up higher, I would probably go that way because they'd work better. And bearing in mind, you can paint these black or whatever you want, so they practically disappear once you've done the scenic work on them. Now, here's the other ones I showed you that I'd super glued onto the sleepers, and you'll see when the loco moves over it, they're sitting on top of the sleepers, and that's a much more positive movement. But that's only to do with the height. It's got nothing to do with them being glued on. You can see there are three there over 3 sleepers for one coupling hook, just offset from centre. Works really well. I don't think I've got a wagon set up with one on at the moment to show you, but that's a pretty positive thing. And you can see that some of the black paint's come off them now, but if you just cover them with black paint, they disappear just about. Now, this wagon has got a metal coupling hook. It's one of the ferrous ones that you've mentioned. And it's got a reasonably short sort of drop down hook, but see when I just move it, see how it's attracted to the magnet, see how it does that? That's because the magnet's pulling on that coupling hook. It's pulling on the drop down bar there. It's pulling on this bit here, and that's going to have a detrimental effect on uncoupling, because it's doing everything the opposite of what you want. So I don't know what the answer is with this sort of coupling, possibly removing that drop down hook and running a staple along under the top of the coupling hook there, but it's going to be tricky to get it to work, and then that means that the magnet's got to pull on the staple, which is back here somewhere. So it's a bit tricky to sort of work with these metal hooks. Plastic ones would be fine, like the old mainline coupling hooks, but you'd have to super glue the staple to the coupling hook. And I've tried that with some of my older mainline wagons, and it wasn't very successful, to be honest with you. The soldering of the staple to the brass backmans is a pretty solid affair, and basically once it's done, forget it. Now, speaking of aesthetics, Ian, these are some old mainline couplings still on the wagons, and these wagons will be converted over to backmans eventually, and they will look like this. You can see the comparison between the old and the new. I mean, the old main line's got this quite heavy looking drop down arm here, and the backman is quite small. Here's the other end of the wagon, again where it meets a mainline coupling once again. So okay, this is not prototypical, but that looks a lot better than that. And when you combine that with you know, a staple on here to uncouple magnetically, I think it just improves the look of the whole thing. So there you go. So I hope that's been of some use to you, Ian, and any further questions, don't hesitate to ask. And I wish you success in whatever way you go about achieving what you want to do there with the metal couplings. Cheers, Gormo.